Hello and welcome. My name is Jeff, and I'll be taking you through this very brief overview of some of the changes to the interactive L2 curriculum. The information that follows and the videos that follow will give you much more detail, but this will give you a little bit of context to what we're doing. So this morning what we're going to deal with is explaining IPA-ED, talk about the importance of Bloom, appreciate how different the new L2 is, and then take note of some language changes, and I'll explain in a bit. So let's get straight to the method tags. So introduce, practice, apply, extend, and demonstrate. IPA-ED. Give you some more details in a bit. How does it look on the slide? So here is a section. So vocabulary section, IPA-ED, right? Introduce, practice, apply, extend, and demonstrate. Quick note here on the apply. Anything that has a dino up in the top right-hand corner within that section tag means that that is an interactive slide. If it does not have the dino on it, it's not an interactive slide, but the interactive slide means you can do a number of the other functions. Let's take a closer look at some of the method tags again. So the I and the P are the teacher-led. The apply and the extend are definitely the student-led, and the demonstrate, again, which you'll only find usually on a UA, is where the student is showing their understanding. So a couple of notes here. Quite often in other materials we use the word demonstrate to explain how a teacher should be explaining something. You know, the teacher should demonstrate how to draw a line, etc., etc. So now, obviously, we don't want to be confusing people, so we will start using or consistently use the word modeling. The teacher should model how to do proper phonetics. The teacher should model how to draw the line, how to use the interactive functions, okay? Extend also means a certain amount of review slides, as you can see there. So how does this look? So a normal IPA. So here's the I, introduce. Here's the teacher tips on the side here. So we're going to talk a little bit about OR. Again, remember this is teacher-led. Now the P slide. Here's where you're going to do a lot of interaction with the student. You're going to use still a lot of TPR. You're going to use a lot of props. You're going to have a lot of fun back and forth about different things. Is it a kite or is it a ball? You can use your props. Is it a cat or is it a dog? Etc., etc. And the A slide now, and you see this too now has the dino. So this is interactive. So they can drag or drop the OR and the and the video later on will show you how to reset slides and everything else, okay? So an IPA. So let's take a look at how this really works. And here's how it breaks down into Unit 5 layout for Level 2. So you see all of the lessons 1 to 4 is your hello. It talks about the interactive reward, what the outcomes are, etc. And then every lesson, number 23 has a free talk. And then 24 onward is the goodbye, refer to homework and everything else. Some of the other videos later on will explain a little bit more of what that is. But I want to talk about the teaching slide part. So you see lesson 1 and 2 are the same. There are 5 sets of 3 slides of IPA. So there'll be an IPA vocab, followed by an IPA verb, followed by an IPA high frequency word, followed by an IPA sentence frame, followed by an IPA phonetics. So you're beginning to see now that the 1 minute per slide concept is probably not going to work. What you're going to find is the I might take a little bit of time, the practice should take a lot of time, and the A should not take that much time. The A is just you're confirming whether or not the student has truly understood what had been done in the I and the P. Okay, and then there will be for lesson 1, grammar as well. And then lesson 2, it's the same as 1 except we're doing math. Lesson 3, it's a few IPA, and now we're doing some reading as well as grammar. Lesson 4, we're doing 4 IPA, a couple of extension slides just to get them probably reviewing a certain amount of this and doing some math. Lesson 5 is a lot of review, a lot of application, and some reading because it's prepping for the UA. So lesson 6, there's a lot of extension slides and a few demonstration slides, okay? Now, let's look at the rest of this unit. So you'll see 7 and 8 are going to be almost exactly the same as what 1 and 2 were. 9 is going to be similar. There's going to be still a lot of reading. 10 will be similar. There's the 4 IPA, and we're doing grammar. 11, there's going to be, again, a lot of extension, a lot of application reading, but there's also going to be prep for the project that is in lesson 12. And this is the biggest difference. So if you look at lesson 12, there's 2 project slides. One, again, is to remind the student what it was. Then 2 is the actual short presentation they will give. It should only be 2 to 3 minutes. And then you're going to do a quick practice, and you're going to go then into 15 demonstration slides. And this is one of the biggest differences with the new interactive L2. All of these demonstration slides, you are giving a grade basically for how the student is. The student doesn't see it, not immediately. It goes into the system, but it means that we are tracking data points on every D slide in these new interactive curriculum, which will give us a much better understanding of how the students are learning. Talk a little bit about outcomes. So this is the outcome slide for, these are can-do statements as such. I'm sure many of you should know about Bloom's. I'm not going to get into too much detail except to say in level 2, we're focusing on the bottom 3. Remembering, understanding, and applying. For level 3, we'll add analyzing. Level 4 and 5, we'll get into evaluating. Level 5 and 6, we'll get into creating. So it's these 3 that we're going to focus on. Again, here's from that same unit, here's lesson 1. And I think this is lesson 12. You can see that it's the demonstrations, all the demonstration slides and content that's going to be covered. Here's the project. It's only one project. They're not giving a choice. It's just here it is, prepare for it and do it. And then they will present to the teacher. Here's just a couple of the D slides. Some are interactive, some are not. That dino up in the top there, that's an older slide. We don't always have the most current versions when we're going into grayscale. So that's a brief overview sort of the level 2 curriculum, except I want to quickly point out some differences with lesson 1, unit 1, the first few lessons. So here's unit 1, lesson 1, unit 1, lesson 2, and unit 1, lesson 3. What you're going to find there is there's very little content written, actual words written on those slides. The first few lessons of Unit 1 are designed so that the teacher is doing a lot of talking with the student and getting the student to talk about the pictures and the letters, etc., that are on the slide. So we're still, again, realizing that we are trying to, the system actually now can measure the amount of talk time that is happening in a lesson, and we will be able to track that on a lesson-by-lesson basis. So you still need to keep it at a minimum of 50%. But I just wanted to make you aware that this still has the IPA. It's just there's not a lot of words and phrases on the slides that the students have to or can read. You need to engage the students in what's going on. I want to talk about a couple of interesting things from the teacher portal. So when you go in to see what's going on for your booking, look over to the right here in the little blue box. These are 2 different level 2 classes for the next number of months. We'll be doing a grayscale for level 2, which means you might be booking, or you might have booked or been booked for both what we're going to call an interactive level 2 and a static level 2. How do you know the difference? Well, you can see there's the little yellow interactive tag right there. That means that is a new interactive program similar to what we're talking about here. A couple of other really interesting things is if you click on, for that interactive lesson, if you click on the materials, you'll actually be able to, right within the teacher portal, get a look at something like this. So you can quickly look through with the functioning buttons to see how that particular lesson is going to look and what you might have to prep for. So that's a pretty cool feature. Okay, a little bit about our students. So I'm not sure how much the average teacher is aware of some of this stuff. So the top number there, 5, this is the number of hours a week the average Chinese student spends learning English in the average public school. This is not a private elementary school. This is not an international elementary school. This is the public elementary school in China. However, all of those English teachers within the Chinese schools, though they have to have a national certification from the Chinese government. They don't not need any sort of external certification. Therefore, that's why there is in many Asian countries this plethora of brick and mortar English academies. And the average student, and our students, in the grade 1, 2, and 3 range, they're going to spend anywhere from 3 to 10 hours a week after school time and on weekends studying English. Now, none of these academies need any kind of certification. None of the teachers, whether foreign or domestic, need any kind of external certification, or I think even Chinese certification with which to teach. What that really means is, so a lot of the English that a lot of our students are getting within China is what we call test English. It's prepping for the various tests. So why would an elementary school need to know test prep English? Because there's a very heavy exam for them to go into the various middle schools they want to go to. Then it becomes more important for high school and even more important for university. It's a tiered system based on the school that you can get into. So test English is huge. And that's the biggest difference. We are teaching functional English as opposed to test English. So that's why you might have some difficulties. A couple other things you might find quite interesting between spoken English and spoken Mandarin. The table on the left are consonants that are not in Mandarin. For these, the THs, the V, the zoo, the pleasure. For school, for the L, it's usually most of the students are okay with an L at the beginning of the word. It's the L at the end of the word they have real trouble with. Over on the right-hand column, you see there's some vowels and some diphthongs that they have issues with. So it's not that the reason our students have a lot of problems with these is because they've never probably been introduced to it. I doubt they've been introduced to these new sounds in their test prep because that's not that big of an issue, right? It's not a function, it's a test. So this is why you may need to really focus on the phonetics with these sounds. Also, there are no pronouns, there are no articles, and there is no gender. In other words, that boy has a red ball, that girl has a blue ball, not he has or she has. So again, if you see that you're having problems with the he and a she, especially when you're doing talking, this is why. It's because they do not have it in Mandarin. Well, thank you. I hope that this helped give you a little bit of context for the new Level 2 curriculum. Please look through the rest of the content and the videos in this material as it goes into much more detail. And happy Level 2 teaching.